Mr. Fix-It with the Bed Shed Kilbeggan. Need a new bed or mattress? Our helpful and experienced team will be only too happy to guide you to the best choice for you. Find the Bed Shed on Facebook and Instagram.
Brian Cloonan is here from Cloonan's Hardware in Tullamore until 11 o'clock this morning for hopefully some useful advice, and, well, you know yourself, it can often go in other directions too. Good morning.
Good morning, how are we?
So, first question. My coffee maker, which is probably the most essential piece of equipment in the house, needs descaling. And the instructions say that I have to use their own brand of descaler. Would Brian feel this is essential?
No, look, a lot, you know yourself, a lot of companies like to charge a fortune for the add-on sale. So I'd say, look, I'm sure you're fine using any. What I would say is, look for any of the descalers, which is a lot of them that use phosphoric acid. So really the rule of thumb would be, if you open the bottle and smell it and there's almost no smell, it's probably phosphoric acid. If you open it, it's a very strong acidy smell, it's probably formic acid. And it's not that it's going to do any harm, but it just lingers and leaves a taste which you don't, even though you put it through and wash it. So the phosphoric is a lot gentler. Phosphoric one is the one that you always use on the baby bottle sterilisers. So if you have a steam baby bottle steriliser, any of the phosphoric ones are the only ones they recommend for that. And I can identify with the coffee. I never drank coffee at all. And then a coffee shop opened across the road for me. And now I have to start my day with a coffee. And
how soon after you get up?
Oh no, I'm fine. No, I get up early. I'm really never in bed after 6, but I don't have my coffee till 8 or half 8.
Perfect, because the science says not in the first hour after you wake.
Ah, okay, that's good. Great. But anyway, actually, sorry. Side note, that's interesting. So Monday was the third Monday in January.
Blue Monday.
Blue Monday, that's it. Yeah, I was trying to think, I knew there was a title on it. And so I go into Chocolate Brown, get my coffee, and there'd often be a few lads there that we'd sit down and join whoever's there, and I'd often walk in and say, anyone want a coffee? And usually it's no, but sometimes somebody would say yeah, and then you might go in the following day and the person that you got the coffee for yesterday has prepaid for your coffee before you go in, which is nice. So I go in anyway, and I order my coffee and I give my money, and I'm told, no, it's paid for. So I assumed it was one of the lads that was sitting down, and I said, thanks very much. I said to the girl behind the counter, I said to Saoirse, who paid for that? And she said, it's anonymous. So I thought it was one of the lads, and strange. So I said, will you buy me that coffee? And they all said, no, we all got a free coffee this morning. And turns out a person does it every year on Blue Monday, goes in and agrees to pay and pays afterwards for 40 cups of coffee. So 40 random acts of kindness. Isn't that fantastic?
That is brilliant. So Chocolate Brown, Tullamore, Blue Monday next year. I got to be there.
That just says so much about you.
And I got to order 40.
The minute you heard the word free, he actually, can I tell you folks, he actually picked up his phone and put it in his diary as I was speaking. You are such a tight ass.
Have we answered the question?
Yeah, phosphoric acid descaler.
Yeah, okay. Next question then. Thomas in Tullamore says he was putting away the Christmas decorations a week ago. Now, he hasn't told herself this yet.
Okay.
But he accidentally bumped and broke a porcelain decoration.
Right.
That her grandmother had given her.
Oh, okay.
It's not ruined, but a little bit broke off. What is the best glue to use on porcelain?
The best glue to use on nearly everything is, so if you use a super glue, it tends to go white. And the other thing with super glue is there's no forgiveness. When you bring the two pieces together, if you don't bring them together absolutely 100% accurately, you're stuck not accurately put together. So I would be saying to you, use a clear epoxy glue, EPOXY, which is a 2-pack glue. And it comes in 2 tubes or a syringe that mixes 2 pieces of glue together. And it is incredibly strong. and you need very little of it. And go for the clear one because, if you use too much and a little bit weeps out, it's clear, you'll hardly see it. But what I'd always say is practice putting the two pieces of whatever number of pieces it is together so that you have the perfect line, that you're lined up. And then even though it sets in a few minutes, I would always leave it to cure for a few hours. So tape it together. If it's a piece of porcelain, you can probably use a permanent marker and hold the two pieces together perfectly, run a permanent marker across the joint, then come out with the glue and glue it, and then just wash off the permanent marker with alcohol. And it'll be fine. But some way of making sure that you have them absolutely in the perfect position while it's setting. So clear epoxy glue, you'll get it in every hardware shop and often in motor factories around the country. And the other thing is, you can use it again and again and again and again. You know what, a lot of glues, they go off. This never sets until you mix the two tubes together. So it can be there in 5 years' time. And you take it out, and you squeeze out a little bit of one, and you squeeze out a little bit of the other, and you mix it together, and you're good to go again. So it's a great glue to use for everything, practically.
You put your left leg in, put your left leg out. Just the way you were saying about putting it in again.
All right.
Walter says he uses very often a product to sterilise his greenhouse every spring. The old Jay's fluid.
Oh, yeah.
But he's heard the new type isn't as strong. So he's wondering what to sterilise with now.
So the new type is really no use for sterilising a greenhouse. And the old type was brilliant in that people could use it for what's known as a winter wash. So if you have, I don't know which one is correct, lichen or lichen, which is correct?
Either or.
Okay, either or.
You say potato, I say potato.
Yeah, tomato. If you have lichen on shrubs, trees, fruit bushes, you used the old-fashioned black Jay's fluid. And then for some reason, which came in a metal tin, and then for some reason they brought out a new Jay's fluid, which really didn't do any of the things that people used to buy, more or less, most of the things people used to buy Jay's fluid for. So, but anyway, the great news for anyone listening is Jay's fluid is back. So if you go to your garden centre or go to your hardware shop and look for the old it's exactly the same as the old one, but it's in a metal tin. So in a nutshell, if you buy Jay's fluid in a metal tin, it's the same as the old one. You mix it according to the various different things. Now, if you're using...
That is the most Irish ad ever, though, isn't it? Jay's fluid is back.
Yeah. I don't know where it's made. I think it's made in America. I could be wrong. But mix it according to instructions, and if you're using it on your trees or shrubs, just make sure the buds haven't started to form. So it's called a winter wash. It was used to be called a winter wash because you do it in the winter when there's no buds on your shrubs. But in the greenhouse, you've taken everything out or move everything. So it kills the spores that are likely to cause disease in your plants in the greenhouse in the future. So you're drenching everything with it. You're mixing it at a huge quantity. A very small amount of Jay's fluid in a huge amount of water. So it goes a long, long way. So drench every little corner and crevice. And if you have any equipment at all in there, if you have pots in there, lift them out, spray the ground, lift them back in, spray the pots. You spray everything to make sure that there's no spores of any disease left.
Joe recommends Gorilla Glue for porcelain.
The only problem with Gorilla Glue is it does foam a little bit. So at the edges, you will get a little bit of foaming, and then you have to scrape that off afterwards. But a Gorilla Glue is a great glue, and again, once you seal it properly, it has a good shelf life that you can use it again and again. It doesn't tend to seize up and set once it's... And if you're using Gorilla Glue and you have half a bottle left, before you put on the lid, squeeze the bottle so the glue is almost at the top, and then put on the lid, because air is the enemy with every glue. So squeeze it tight until it's just almost at the top. Tighten the lid so that this bottle stays... Scores.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it has a better chance of staying fresh for longer.
Stays scores,
yeah.
Now, next on Midlands 103, a listener who is very pleased with himself indeed.
Mr. Fix-It with a bed shed Kilbeggan. Quality, choice and value you can't beat. With over 80 beds, headboards and mattresses to suit all budgets. Find the bed shed on Facebook and Instagram.
Michael in Burr says he painted the stairs and the landing a while ago, and I did a great job, if I do say so myself.
Good man, Michael.
However, on just one wall, there's a million tiny little cracks in the paint. It's like a map of the counties of Ireland. It's not falling off the wall, so do I just paint over it, or do I have to scrape off and start over?
So it's cracks. So there is a thing called mapping, which happens with paint, particularly on new plaster walls, which it's not that the paint cracks, but the paint just looks different. It genuinely is called mapping because it looks like the counties of Ireland, but it's not cracking. And in that case, you have to use, it's got to do with the over-troweling of the plaster, and the plaster is absorbing the paint in different ways, and you do need to use a primer there. So traditionally, in this case, I would say there was something there, be it a different type of paint or a chemical. You know, sometimes people, if they use a spray or if they washed that particular area with washing up liquid and didn't wash off the washing up liquid, it leaves a film behind that the paint doesn't like, and you end up what's known as glaze cracking, and that sounds like this. So it's lots of little hairline cracks. So we would normally be saying scrape that off, which is not what anyone wants to hear, or sand it off. But I think in this case, there's one that I know of, but I'm sure there's other brands out there called Peel Stop, and it's specifically designed for glaze cracking. So it kind of fills in the cracks and creeps in under the crack to give binding and strength. And it will leave a coat or two of that, will leave it perfectly smooth and stop the paint from peeling off. Because what very often happens is, with the normal way, if you were to paint, if you said you get the glaze cracking, here, I'll give it another coat of paint and see will it fill in that, it'll actually become worse because the paint is now heavier on it and it's more weight and it's more likely to peel off. So Peel Stop, or the equivalent of Peel Stop, 1 or 2 coats of Peel Stop, and I think you'll be absolutely fine. Particularly when it's only one wall, if it's not so bad. If it was the whole house, you'd just cry because it's just. Oh, and by the way, get the Peel Stop tinted. Get it tinted to the colour you're using, and you'll probably get away then with 1 coat of Peel Stop and 1 coat of the finished emulsion that you're using, as opposed to having to paint over the white. Particularly if you're using a darker colour, you'd probably have to put on 2 coats or even 3 coats of the finish coat, because the Peel Stop would be a different colour. It's white in its natural state. So ask wherever you're getting it, give them the code or the colour of the paint that you've been using, and ask them to tint it to that colour.
Next is Grace, who says, Christmas has just gone and I went mad buying decorations for our new house. I put these up and they were lovely, albeit expensive. I put them on the window hanger lights, and I used a really good strong tape to hold them, but when I took them down, the glue remains on the window, which looks dreadful.
Oh, yeah.
I hate seeing it. So the window hanger lights were affixed by glue.
Right. So
would this be to PVC?
It doesn't say, does it? Well, it doesn't really matter. It's either in the glass or the PVC, or timber for that matter.
Hardly in a new house.
New house, no. Okay. So then it'll be timber or PVC, and just use a thing called sticky stuff remover. It's a tall, thin tin. And the reason it's so good is, now there are various types of glue remover, but the reason I find that one particularly good, and it will be particularly good in this case, is it sprays out as a gel. So the problem with the liquid ones, and the liquid ones are good, particularly if it was on a flat surface like the floor or a worktop or something, but the problem is it's so liquidy. It takes about 10 minutes to soften up the glue. And of course, with the liquid, it just runs straight down. So the spray remains as a gel wherever you spray it. And then you leave it then for 10 or 15 minutes, and then just come with a nylon scouring pad, or as we often mention, your your credit card scraper if it's on the PVC, or a Bohemian blade scraper if it's on the glass. And it'll take it all off without doing any damage whatsoever. If it's on timber, which it won't be, you'd want to just do a test area in case it affects the varnish that's there. But as you say, if it's a new house, it's highly unlikely to be timber windows.
Next, Chris in Portarlington says, we've got a very small but a very annoying leak under the sink. It's right at the back of a press mounted to a wall and is ferociously difficult to get to. Is there anything I can use for the time being to fix it before I eventually secure a plumber?
Yeah, good luck in getting a plumber for a small job like that. They're all so busy. Look, probably the handiest thing for that is, there's a few different brands. I always like the ones that the tin says what it does, but there are various brands. But Fix-A-Leak is a clear silicone spray. It's really effective. Now, because it's a waste pipe, so it's not under mains pressure. So if you have water coming into the house in a pipe and you get a leak, there'll be water spraying all over the place because it's like turning on the tap. It's under mains pressure. And because it's a tiny little hole, the pressure is increased. So the bigger the opening, the less pressure that's on it, the smaller the opening. So that's definitely not the case in this case, because it'll be spewing all over the place. So it's a waste. That means there's only water dripping when there's water in the waste pipe. Now, there's always water in the waste pipe because there has to be, or the smell coming up from the sewer would be horrific. So, but it's not under pressure. So that's the good news. So I would be saying to you, well, the very first thing we always say to people in this case is get some blue kitchen roll. You know, the blue, if you go to the garage and there's a roll of blue paper and you dry your hands with the diesel or whatever. And the reason we say that is a leak always presents at the lowest point. So the number of times we have people, I know exactly where the leak is, and it doesn't matter whether it's a leak from the ceiling or a leak from a pipe.
Yeah. No, you don't. You know where the drip is.
You know where the drip is. I know where the drip is. He's sitting across the...
Shut up.
So you know where the drip is. You don't know where the leak is. So by wrapping the blue paper around a pipe, it turns dark blue exactly where the leak is. And now you know where the leak is as opposed to where the drip is presenting. And then you get your leak fix spray and just spray it on. It's completely clear. You won't even know it. And you can... It's such a small leak, you can use loads of it. And that's it. The problem will be sorted. I forget, I know it's in a white tin. It's called Fix-A-Leak. It is. Fix-A-Leak, white tin, red top, I think. And you'll get it in loads of hardware shops.
Joe says Jayes fluid was created by John Jayes of Cambridge around 200 years ago.
Wow.
And was put in a bath of water to treat scarlet fever.
Wow.
Supposedly that's where it comes from. And Ina, when you told the story of the Good Samaritan in Chocolate Brown, she assumed it was me who had paid for Ina.
Sorry, did you not pick up on the fact that when I said that there was a free coffee in Chocolate Brown there might be a free coffee in Chocolate Brown in a year's time. He took out his phone and made a note in the calendar to get a coffee first thing in a year's time. Oh my God.
Brian, thanks very much.
Good luck, Will.
Next Wednesday, 10:20, he shall be back, or you'll find him at Cloonan's Hardware. After the news at 11 with David Hollywood, why ADHD often goes undiagnosed in women rather than in men. Is it okay to put a kiss on a work email? And also how the red squirrel is making a comeback across the Midlands.